today's poll, we asked you to vote on whether there should be a dress code for flying after Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy suggested not wearing pajamas to the airport in a TV interview.
I call this just maybe dressing with some respect. Whether it's a pair of jeans and a decent shirt, I would encourage people to maybe dress a little better, which encourages us to maybe behave a little better. Let's try not to wear slippers and pajamas as we come to the airport.
Are you dressing with respect? Are you keeping control of your children? Are you saying thank you to your flight attendants and your pilots? Are you saying please and thank you in general? The golden age of travel begins with you.
This Sean Duffy, this guy who's running the travel thing, goes, how Americans turned flying into a cesspool transportation. Secretary Sean Duffy urges travelers to dress up and be in a good mood. Hey, Sean, f*** you. Hey, f*** you, by the way. Shut the f*** up. How about you get the planes in the sky, you scumbag, and shut the f*** up.
What's up, everybody? Major Retired Richard Ojeda here. And did you happen to see Sean Duffy's little airport dress code video? Turns out Department of Transportation's Sean Duffy was out here trying to sell his idea of travel attire etiquette to the most pissed off cross-section of humanity you'll ever come across, the delayed airline passengers.
We have to think about how do we do a better job? How do we maintain maybe some of that frustration we have as we travel this Thanksgiving season? Maybe we should say please and thank you to our pilots and to our flight attendants.
I'm sick of being lectured by this government that knows nothing about what's actually happening out there, okay? First of all, the whole entire experience of travel has become an unending hell, okay? Everybody is understaffed. There are delays at all the major airports. The airports are old. They've fallen into disrepair. The planes are old. The pilots are underpaid. The staff is underpaid. It's a horrible experience, Sean.
This nonsense of a golden age dress code that Duffy is trying to push on the people is not going to work, and we all absolutely know that. And it seems that Sean Duffy is trying to sell his new golden age agenda from the first-class airport bigwig lounge, where the drinks are free and egos even bigger, and the general traveling public is not allowed to go. Duffy is basically trying to push an airport apartheid idea. It's something like elite flyers always having express check-in, first-class boarding, airport lounges, and all the perks, while the rest of us are waiting in lines to check our bags and get crammed into the back like sardines with everyone else's who's traveling on a tight budget and worn-out nerves.
With, the government basically telling you that you should do X, Y, and Z when it feels like you're not getting a lot, it feels a little hypocritical. And so I completely agree that nobody should be telling you how to dress when traveling today is very democratized, and more people are traveling than ever before. So we should be able to have those little creature comforts, and dressing for comfort is one of those ways to do so.
All right, listen, I don't like anybody telling me what to do.
He's saying that the million-miler first-class types don't want to see you or your snotty-nosed kid dressed in pajamas on their flight or in the airport. It's the classic clash of realities that plays out dramatically in our nation's airports sometimes. I mean, hell, they had an entire TV show devoted to airport meltdowns where people's stubborn expectations ran smack dab into airport brick walls that would leave them feeling disappointed and upset with life. Kudos to all the ticket agents and flight attendants and all those airline foals who literally make our travel experiences good. Not so much to Sean Duffy, who had single-handedly caused delays and cancellations that have pissed off the traveling public. Also, under Sean Duffy, the DOT, Department of Transportation, rolled back one of the biggest airline passenger protections on the table, a rule that would have forced airlines to automatically compensate you for delays and cancellations. Instead of holding airlines accountable, Duffy scrapped it, leaving travelers screwed while airlines walk away clean. So if it isn't painfully obviously yet, Sean Duffy is not on your side. And if you didn't already have a clear idea of just how raw the traveling public feels right now, Tim Dillon spells it out better than anybody. He captures the vibe perfectly. The anger of people who are done standing in endless lines, getting their bags lost, having flight delays blow up their vacations, and never getting anything back for their pain and suffering. Most people flying flying aren't rich. And when a flight gets canceled, they can't just throw down a credit card for a hotel or a $25 airport sandwich. The airlines aren't handing out vouchers anymore like they used to. The regular folks sure as hell aren't getting into those private lounges where guys like Sean Duffy hang out. That's why Dillon's whole, "Hey Sean, F you, shut the F up" energy hits home. He's calling it out and saying it point blank. This isn't the golden age for everyone else, but hey, at least we don't have to take our shoes off anymore, huh? Meanwhile, airports are understaffed, everything's delayed, the infrastructure's falling apart, the planes are old, the pilots are underpaid, the staff is underpaid, TSA workers are out here getting fake $10,000 bonus checks. It's just a bad experience overall. And Duffy's out here lecturing people about pajamas. People want to get what they paid for. And honestly, most of the time they expect more than what they paid for. But that's beside the point. And when something goes bad, they get mad because it nukes their whole idea of how the trip was supposed to go. This was their expectation. They had an entire mental blueprint of how the day would unfold. I paid X amount for my round-trip ticket. I'm supposed to leave at this time, from this gate, land at this hour, meet so-and-so, get to the hotel, pick up a rental car, grab dinner. People plan all of this out in their heads, in their calendars, around their jobs, their families, their budgets. They expect the plan to actually happen. And when it doesn't, it causes great consternation. It creates this mental collision where expectations slam straight into reality. That's why we see meltdowns in airports. That's why you see people snapping, yelling, "Do you know who I am?" That's why egos get twisted into knots, tempers get inflated like balloons, and situations get out of control. Because that perfect plan that they had, gone, blown up, and nobody at the gate seems to care to their liking or isn't taking their beat down the way that they planned. But let's be honest, those meltdowns mostly happen in coach. You don't see first-class passengers starring in airport freakouts on reality TV. The meltdowns aren't happening in the private lounges where the champagne is cold and the carpet is nice and soft. They're not happening behind those frosted glass lounge doors where Sean Duffy hangs out. They're happening out in the trenches with the rest of us, the economy passengers, fighting fatigue, stress, lost bags, missed connections, screaming kids, and 3-hour delays. And that's the point. Sean Duffy doesn't hear from you. Sean Duffy doesn't want to see you or your family dressed outside the parameters of his golden age of delusion. He wants to control how you look, how you act, how you behave, what you wear, what you say, but he doesn't want to hear a word about the crap he broke. And that's what the airport feels like sometimes. Unfair. Like two different worlds operating under the same roof. Because money buys comfort, money buys space, money buys silence, money buys the option to avoid all the chaos the rest of us get shoved into. So yeah, of course, people feel exactly what Tim Dillon is saying because it hits a nerve. Are you freaking serious, Sean? After all the stress, all the delays, all the cancellations, all the nickel and diming, all the crap you put travelers through, you think the big problem is pajamas? You think telling exhausted Americans to dress nicer is the fix? Especially after you helped kill the rule that would have finally forced airlines to compensate passengers for wasted time and ruined trips. That was a slap in the face. That was the final straw. You took away the one thing that would have held airlines accountable. And now you want to lecture travelers on how to behave? No, absolutely not. Wearing pajamas isn't the problem, Sean. You are. So go back to your first-class lounge, sit in your leather chair, sip your free cocktail, and do what Tim Dillon said. Shut the F up. It's like Sean Duffy is out here trying to push an airport apartheid. Think about it. He's trying to basically separate the rich from the rest of us. One world gets warm cookies, champagne, legroom, privacy, and bathrooms you're never allowed to use. And the other side, well, our world, gets shoved into a metal tube, charged for every ounce of luggage, treated like cattle, and told to behave better by a guy who has never waited in a security line in his entire damn life. You see it everywhere. Dedicated check-in lines for elites, special security lanes, private lounges hidden behind frosted glass, even different boarding tunnels and exits so the upper deck never has to brush shoulders with the people who actually keep the airline industry profitable. It's a quiet, institutionalized, you stay over there system built entirely around money and privilege. And Sean Duffy is standing at the top of it all, preaching from his ivory tower with the Bloody Mary in one hand and a first-class boarding pass in the other, telling exhausted travelers that their clothing is the problem. But let's be honest, this dress code nonsense isn't about respect. It's about telling regular people to clean themselves up before they're allowed to visually exist around the rich. It's about creating a vibe where first-class million-milers never have to see your kid in Paw Patrol hoodie or your worn-out sweatpants after a 3-hour delay. It's separating the desirable travelers from the undesirable ones. A velvet rope mentality dressed up as airport etiquette. A travel hierarchy where the wealthy glide above it all, untouched, unbothered, and unaccountable, while the rest of us are blamed for the mess that he has created. And if that isn't a perfect snapshot of Trump-era America, I don't know what is. And that is an absolute fact. Sappers clear the way, airborne all the way.